Browns fans, what is going on? It is another episode of Brown and Orange Weekly. I am your co-host, Dean's the Big Dog Samples, followed by the man, Clarence Wilson. How you doing today, brother?
What's up, man? We got a guest today.
We
He's
do.
coming. He's
A
coming to
special
hell.
guest,
He's coming to hell
the
now.
Fritz from the Guardians of the CLE, one of the biggest Guardians podcasts out there. If you ain't following it, you're missing out. Go follow them right now. We are honored to have you on here. How you doing, James?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate you having me on here, talk a little Browns football. Here it is, June, but we can talk some Browns football, get a little break from talking Guardians baseball,
Yeah.
at least until tomorrow night. So yeah, it's a nice change of pace for me to talk a little bit of professional football here with you guys tonight.
We're inching closer to the season. It's OTAs are under wraps right now. It's getting a little closer to training camp time. Getting closer to the season, it's hard to not be excited. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing all these clips of everything going on, practices. Watson's looking good. The team's looking good. We got the new additions. It's that time of year. It's hard to not be excited.
Well, plus, as opposed to last year, I know we had some playful banter in between shows, and Mel would talk about, it's got to be hard for you guys to cover the Browns, with the way that everything was going
Yep.
last year.
And it
But
was. It was
now,
very hard. It was
now,
hard.
now reverse it, and now Tribe, although excuse me, Gardos, even though they're getting on, they're getting right, but they didn't come out the gate as fast as I think we all expected. So. It's been a little bit of a rough watch, I'm sure, at certain times.
Yeah, I mean, it's been to be under 500 now and to struggle the first 2 weeks of first 2 months of the year. Yeah, it has been tough, but we're adjusting. We're only a game and a half back. The AL Central is very winnable. But hey, I'm here to talk Browns football, AFC North football. With what we got in this division, it's not going to be about our division, the AFC North this year, all having losing records 2 months into the season. That's absolutely not going to happen.
No,
I think we have one of the best divisions in football. I looked at last year's schedule and the standings from last year, how we ended, and the Bengals had 12 wins, and at 12-4 finished of the 8-game win streak. We ended up in the basement again.
Yeah.
And, as a Browns fan, as a Cleveland fan, I'm just damn tired of being in the basement in this division. It's about
Preach.
time this year that we do something about it.
I agree 100%. I'm tired of being paper champs. I'm tired of being preseason champs, off-season champs, however you want to call it. But when it comes down to season time, it's like no matter the hype, it's just we end up being disappointed year in and year out. It's
rough.
It's rough. I've said numerous times, I am in an emotionally abusive relationship with the Cleveland Browns, and I'm going to stand by that.
We all are. We all are. We all have the scars. We all have the marks. The one thing to build off of last year, even though we finished 7-10, and then the Bengals in first place 12-4, is if you look down the division and how everybody finished, everybody was 3-3.
Yeah.
And actually for Cleveland, that's pretty good. We finally got some good division wins last year, but now we need to win those tight games, win the games we're not supposed to win this season in order to, get our higher win total and hopefully win our first division in 34 years.
I agree. We've been playing really competitive within a division compared to recent years. We've been so used to being swept by the Steelers, or we've always had our number with the Bengals. We'd sneak some wins against them, but like the Ravens and the Steelers, year in and year out, we would just, it is what it is. But for us to finally be competitive within the division, what plagued us last year was a lot of dumb losses to like the Jets. That Jets game, probably will never, ever emotionally recover from that game. I was there. I was talking crap to Jets fans in the stands, like, you guys are done. And then a minute later, it's like, foot in the mouth. And I'm just sitting there like, what happened?
Not me. I still wish So on that, I'll just say this: during that game, I was there too, and there was this kid in front of me, and he was all gung ho and happy, and I was like, man, like just let's let the clock hit zero. Nah, man, we're fine. Yeah. So I started walking down, and I was like, start walking down the seats, and I peeped my head through it. Saw they recovered the kick, and I was like, you gotta be shitting me. And then it just went downhill from
Like
there.
you already knew at that point, like,
Yeah.
here we go again.
To this day, though, I wish I had stayed in my seat though, so I could have seen the reaction on that kid's face, because I feel like he doesn't know the real history of the way things shake down in Brownstown. Like the game is not over till it hits double zeros, and even at that, sometimes it still don't mean it so. So
Right.
Yeah.
we are going to talk about speaking of games that they should win. We're going to get into that because James is going to play the scheduled game with us.
Yes.
Dean lost his mind and put the Browns at 13-4. I had him at 11-6.
We've been saying we got to be positive here. So
Yes,
maybe I've been overly positive, but that can't be a bad thing, right?
That's correct. That's correct. But first, James, we want to hear a little bit about your Browns fandom and what the Browns mean to you, how you kind of got to be a Browns fan, and what brought you into this circle of hell.
Well, really, Browns, if it's true. For me, the Browns, it's all about family. And to me, that's where it started. I was born in Fairview Park Hospital, lived in Lakewood for a little bit when I was first born. We moved to Massachusetts for about a year. My mom, being a Cleveland girl, got homesick, so we moved back. Stayed in the area for a little bit and then moved farther south to Stark County. But through all that, stayed a Cleveland fan. And my first memory really of Browns football was my mom, January 4th of 1981. And that was the Red Right 88 game against the Raiders. And at that time, I was 6 years old. I was probably playing Hot Wheels or Star Wars or something on the floor in the room with the TV. And I can remember my mom having the game on. And towards the end of the game, all of a sudden, my good Catholic girl mom, I heard the F word for the first time. And I looked at the TV, and
like,
it was the interception. And I was just like, oh, okay. All right, Mom. And well, that led to, many gatherings where we would come from Stark County up north to see, my aunts and my uncles and grandparents and, get together for Browns games, have dinner, or lunch and have the game on. And I can remember going to my uncle's house in Brunswick. There was an apartment actually. And we go to their place and watch the Browns. And he's probably the most passionate Browns fan I was ever with, because I remember going there and we sat on the couches and the love seat. And I sat down as a little kid, and I remember putting my arms down on the armrest on the side of the couches, and they went down into the couch. Like, how it's supposed to be rounded on, where you put your arms.
Yeah.
His were more like this, where it had an indentation and you could put your arms in. Why was that? Because of all the Browns games he'd be watching for bad plays or bad calls, he would take his hands and arms and just beat the hell out of the armrest. And I was like, man, this is, the older I got, the more serious I understood how everybody was involved with being a Browns fan.
That's a good point. When I was younger, my uncle had this, it was a foam brick. And it was called it had the Browns logo on it, and it said the Browns bad call brick. And I thought it was funny. I'm like, why does he have this? I'm like 5-6 years old. I didn't really understand. Like, I was a Browns, my first birthday party, Browns. I was always like kind of raised into it, but I didn't understand. But he always had this brick, and every game he'd have it in his hand, just like squeezing it. It was like one of those stress balls, but he was ready to throw it at the TV. It was just a foam brick. But like the older I got, like I understood, like I wish today I had that brick. If I could find it on eBay, I will buy that brick right now.
It probably exists.
It's got to somewhere. Someone's got an extra brick that I can get.
But I can remember January of '87 after the Browns had won the division and home field going into the playoffs. my mom talked to my dad and about taking me to the home playoff game against the Jets. And so that was my real first experience at a Browns game. I had been to several Indians games prior to that, from playing, baseball, regular hot stove baseball, and, going with your teammates or going with your family.
Good old
And
hot stove baseball, man.
So this is my first experience in a municipal stadium for a Browns game, and man, what a difference from a baseball game.
Yeah.
So my dad and we got to the parking lot, and prior to us leaving, there was two gentlemen that were his customers. He had 4 tickets. They were supposed to come over from Pennsylvania, and it turns out they ended up getting snowed in and they couldn't make it. So we had 2 extra tickets to the divisional game against the Jets.
Wow.
We park over by the stadium, and my dad got out and he was looking to sell them. And there was 2 parking attendants that said, Hey, we'd love the tickets, but we don't have any money on us. And my dad gave the one guy an opportunity. The one guy stayed there with us. The other guy ran back to the stadium trying to get money, like try to get an advance on for their work for parking. And so the other guy that was with us ended up going to the stadium. We we couldn't wait any longer. We needed to get inside because, hey, back in those days, unlike the stadium now, people got their asses in the seats way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Way ahead of the game. And I know there's more checkpoints and all that stuff to get in now. It's a little more difficult because, hell, you could bring anything to the stadium back then.
Oh, yeah. I heard stories of people sneaking kegs in dog pound.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the Jets game, if anybody remembers, it's about 5 minutes to go. We go down 10. It was 20-10 to the Jets. It looked like the stadium was starting to empty. People were leaving, but thankfully my dad stayed there because you had the Mark Gastineau play where he came up, speared Bernie in the back, 15-yard penalty to keep the game alive, and then the rest was history. Tied the game, went to overtime, and then actually won it in double overtime with a field goal into the dog pound. And, man, I had been a Browns fan ever since then. By the next week, I had a pair of white tennis shoes because now we got the AFC Championship game against Denver. So you had Webster Slaughter painting his shoes orange. What'd I do? Dad, can I get a can of orange spray paint? He said, sure. So took my shoes into the garage, sprayed them all up orange, wore them to school. I was all in,
That's awesome.
Totally loving it. And then, Sunday comes around, finally hosting the Broncos, thinking we're going to win it. And then we already know about, I'm not even going to use the words. I'm not even going to carry out the distance of how long it took them to get there to tie the game. So, but no, that's where it really started at the old stadium. And a lot of it, to be honest with you, and I don't know about you guys, but man, it's the women really too that are super involved as fans. It's not just uncles and grandparents and that. It's my aunts. It was my grandma too. They were diehard Cleveland fans.
That's the craziest part. Like, so we lived in South Dakota. My military family, we were stationed in South Dakota. So the first time I come to Cleveland, see my grandmother, because my father's from Cleveland. So we're going to see his mom, my grandma, and we walk in the living room on a Sunday, and she is standing up. God bless this woman. Rest in peace. She is standing up, screaming her head off for the Browns. And again, I'm coming from South Dakota. It's not like any pro sports teams or anywhere around there.
Right.
You got Minnesota, but at that age, I don't know who the hell they are. All I know is I see this woman I love dearly screaming her head off for the Browns, and that's what gave it to me. So you're absolutely right about, women love the Browns just as much, if not more, than the fellas.
That's how my grandmother was with the Indians. Every time I'd come over there to spend the weekend with her, anytime the Tribe was on the TV, she'd be sitting there screaming. And it was just wild. I'd never seen that side of her. So it was like me 5, 6 years old. I'm like, what? I had no idea. I was already like an Indians fan. I never got to experience a Browns game in Municipal Stadium. I've been to several Indians games in Municipal Stadium. So I have to ask you though, since you've experienced both, did you feel the difference in energy?
Oh my gosh. You can't even compare.
Crazy difference.
Yeah.
Especially a win. So the week after, I left this part out. The week after, going into the week, of the Broncos game in Cleveland in January of '87, there was a way to buy the tickets. It was called Ticketron, and do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
It used to be inside Sears down here at the Belton Village Mall. My dad, the night before the tickets went on sale, he slept in the car, try to get the tickets to the Broncos game. He slept in the car and still missed out on that.
Paper tickets.
Yes.
Now you can't. They don't do that anymore. Paper tickets.
I have one. I think the last year I have a Ravens tickets from the Ravens game. The last year they gave us season ticket holders actual tickets, and I'm going to cherish that one forever because I miss it. I honestly do.
The only stub that I have that I know for sure that I can remember I have is the very first game back preseason against the Bears, which was I think Chris Spielman's only game in a Browns uniform.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only stub that I still have.
I was there.
You said that was the first preseason game, right?
It was the first home preseason game back.
Yes.
They may have played another game before that, but I know that was the first home preseason game back.
Well, the one I went to was when the stadium opened. The very first preseason was against Minnesota.
Okay.
Yep.
And my dad had season tickets through his work, and thank God it was one of the, my sister passed away in 2000 from cancer. It was the only time we got to go to the game together, was for that game. And even though it was preseason, like right now, I just can't wait for preseason to get over. But I can look back on that memory of being in the first game there, and I got to spend it with her. I actually have both ticket stubs in a frame with a picture of the stadium with fireworks shooting off at halftime, where they were all up in the air at the same time.
That's
and
awesome.
To go back on ticket stubs, what I was telling you about the Jets game, that playoff game in '87, I have a box right over here that has the 2 unused tickets from that game that my dad, and they're still in the envelope that has the old Browns helmet with the double bar face mask on it.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Wow.
That's great.
That's wild. So I guess we get into some recent news real quick. Let's just get it out there. We've all got our own opinions. The new dog logo.
Yeah.
Dean, go ahead. What's your thoughts, man? I already sent you guys my thoughts via text, but we'll get into it. Dean, what's your thoughts?
I mean, out of the final 2 is the one I like the most. I've seen that they've released a little graphic explaining little hidden pictures in there. They have the state of Ohio. They have a football that's in the nose.
The 8 spikes for the 8 championships.
Yeah, at the bottom of the collar, there's a representation of the East End Zone. The outline of Municipal Stadiums there, which is cool. They got the guitar pick for the city of Cleveland. The Guardians Bridge is kind of located there on the nose. You can see the outline of it. There's a helmet stripe, the pound helmet, and the spikes represent the 8 championships that we won as a franchise. It's cool. I don't know. I got mixed feelings of it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Did I like the old Browns logo? No. I thought it was too cartoonish. So I think this is a damn good upgrade from what it was. I don't think it was worth all the attention, and maybe it's just me because I'm so tired of all this extra shit. I'm so ready to just see results on the field.
Yeah.
But I like it. I almost bought the hat that they have on the website that has the logo on it. It definitely looks better. I've seen a lot of people are comparing it to Darth Vader. They're calling it the Darth Dog or something like that.
Dog Vader.
Yeah, Dog Vader.
Hashtag Dog Vader.
No, I like it. I don't know. It's better. It's definitely better than the last one.
James?
I mean, it is what it is. It's a merch seller. It's to make money. As far as the logo goes, when they put all the other ones out there, my personal preference was the one that was where the dog, it was the side angle where he was looking to the right. The reason why is because I like the orange on I think the helmet on top of the dog, but also it resembled the side profile of other teams. Like I love the Seahawks logo.
Yeah.
So it was something that was similar. It was something that looked like if, hey, we had to take this and the NFL said, you know what, Cleveland, you got to have a logo on your helmet now. That was one that I thought would look good. I don't know that I really like this one on a helmet. You know, they're probably going to have it on some merchandise, some mini helmets or whatever, but it's not going to be something that we see on the helmet on the field, obviously. I kind of feel the same way as I did with the Guardians when I looked at it. It's just like, okay.
Like
But you know,
what it is.
Yeah, like when I looked at the Guardians one, I'm like, that's it. That's all. It's so plain. There's nothing to it. Like, it looks like it didn't take long to design that thing. Like,
Nope.
they didn't put a lot of time into it. But of course, my dumb ass goes out, buys the flag, buys the hat, buys the shirts, right? Even though I would have loved to have the Guardian statue face. You know, I would have loved to have seen the Guardian statue face, and they kind of blended in with Chief Wahoo's face, something to do with a smiley face or maybe the nose or the eyes or something, and try to do a combo of that.
The logo did feel rushed for the Guardians, and it kind of was in a sense because they received all that backlash for Chief Wahoo. But since then it's growing on me.
Yeah.
I did a little mock logo where I combined the two Guardians logos, and I think it looks way cooler. But I don't know. It's like I said, it is what it is. It's a merch seller. If the NFL did crack down and said we need to put a logo on it, I'd rather have Brownie on the helmet than this dog.
Absolutely.
But hopefully it never comes down to that point, because just the plain helmet is just tradition. Just keep it what it is. Just like the Steelers with their one logo on one side. Just as much as I hate them, it'd feel weird if they had something different.
We should do that just to piss them off.
Yes.
Put the new dog head on the one side of the helmet. Be like, yeah, that's our new thing. Like, wait, that's ours. No.
Any way to get under their skin, I'm all for it.
Hell, if that's what it means to win Super Bowls, hell, let's do it.
Yeah. As much as I hate that damn franchise, I got to give them credit. They run that franchise pretty well.
That's my exact gut feeling of that franchise. As much as I absolutely hate them on game day, I respect the hell out of what that organization does.
It's just like they don't really have a rebuild process. If they do, it's like one off year, but they're always there. And it's just year in and year out, no matter who the coach is. They just figure a way to be there every damn year. And it's frustrating. Like, why can't we figure this out? Like, we've been back since 99. It's been over 20 years, and we're just.
Oh, first, let me just get this out the way.
I hate you, Pittsburgh.
As I told y'all in the text thread, I don't give a shit about this damn logo. I do not care.
I better not see you wearing anything with this logo. I'm going to call you out on it.
100%. You will not see that shit on my body. I guarantee it.
I'm buying you a shirt for Christmas.
I don't care. I'm old. I want to see wins. I want to see W's. That's all I care about. I knew there was going to be a big hubbub about this. I looked at them all. None of them spoke to me, quite frankly. And again, like, I don't give a shit, man. Just win. I'm
with James though. That first one, the one with the dogs looking to the right,
that was cool.
That one hit me. Like, it kind of resembled. I don't know if you guys ever watched Game of Thrones, and I have like the side wolf like that. It kind of resembled that to me a little bit. I was like, that's sweet.
I mean, again, I don't know. It's like like the third logo mascot type joint we got our helmet,
it's better than the old cartoonish one that we
had. You know what, the old one didn't bother me, like because I didn't really
give a shit about
it then. I didn't give a shit about it then. Like, so I don't know. It's a logo. I won't be rocking it.
Hey, if you want to distract us during the off season, then announce that we're going to have a cheerleader squad.
Yes.
Where the hell's the Browns cheerleaders at?
All I can remember is bringing high school cheerleaders, and they would alternate end zones. They would one high school would be on one end, and the other one would be there. I'm like, we get some real cheerleaders. Like they got the Cowboys cheerleaders. Like,
All right.
again, we don't have the best weather
Oh,
for cheerleaders.
The Browns have cheerleaders. It's all the people online who think that they can do no wrong. So that's their cheerleading squad.
Dude, there's some Browns fans on Twitter that are just reckless. Just like, what
So,
side are you on, sir?
And
yeah,
that's
so
exactly what we don't need.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
we may have the best fans in the league, but we also have the most toxic fans in the league, and I'm not afraid to admit that.
absolutely.
We have some toxic
Absolutely.
ass fans.
No. And the more you go to the games, the more you see it.
Yes.
That's the disappointing part.
Especially against the Steelers. Like, I'm all for talking trash to them, but I've seen like kids getting pushed and hurt. I've seen people getting ripped out of their seats. Like, I have front row. I've had these tickets since '99, since they came back. Because the first two seats right next to the tunnel. I've seen numerous times, like right by me, Steelers fans getting kicked out of their seat and like tossing the stairs and get their shirts or jerseys ripped off and they'd hold the jersey that just ripped off in the air and chants are just cheering, and I'm just like, that's so classless, man. Like, yeah, I hate Pittsburgh. Like, I will talk my trash, but it's friendly. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not fighting nobody.
Like that. Yeah, I'm not gonna hurt nobody. I'm not gonna try to fight you over it.
I'm not fighting you over a football game. It's a game. It's a game.
Yeah, some of those people act like that just because they're parole officers and sitting next to them.
It just gives us a bad look, man.
No, I've definitely seen it. I went to a Saints game, sat in the opposite end zone of the dog pound. I watched this guy and his girlfriend that had Saints stuff on just get ripped by these four guys constantly, making comments about her. All they're doing is sitting and watching the game. Finally security came before they started something physical, and it was just I don't need to see that shit. I'm trying to watch the game.
Especially like Saints fans, like it's not a rival.
Yeah,
like,
this was before their Super Bowl victory.
I've even seen that with the Raiders. Like, how often do we play the Raiders? It's like not very often. This was years ago, and I've seen like on the way to the stadium that game, I've probably seen 3-4 fights. It's just like, why? Now you guys can't even go to the damn game. It's just like,
yep, ticket money down the drain.
Yeah, it really, it's disappointing when you try to take, you want to take a family up there. And when my kids were little, to me, it's more about you're not going to a game. You maybe go to a preseason game because it's, like country club in there. There's a few people that are taking it serious, but there's as many empty seats as there are full seats. So the kids, it's more about training camp, taking the kids at training camp. That's a more impactful thing, I think, for the kids than just being at the stadium.
Oh yeah, I took my kid to training camp when Josh Cribbs. It was right before Peyton Hillis got voted to be on the Madden cover, and it was my kid's first time going to training camp. And someone who ran Team Cribbs, it was an old Twitter handle, tapped us on the shoulder and they introduced themselves like, "Hey, we run Team Cribbs on Twitter. We were picking a random person in the crowd today who wants to meet Cribbs after practice today. Are you interested?" I'm like, absolutely. They pulled us to the side. We waited after practice. He came out, sat with us, talked to us for about 30 minutes, took pictures, signed a bunch of stuff. A couple players came over, gave us gloves, and my son was just like in tears. Like, he's 13 now, and he's talks about it till to this day. Like, he'll never forget that.
Yeah.
I ran into Cribbs recently at a gas station, and I brought that up to him, and he remembered me. He's like, "Oh my God, like that was." I told him, like, "My kid, you left a memory on my son that he'll never forget the rest of his life." And it's just like little things like that. Like, training camp is definitely the way to go when you want to take your kids for a good memory. That's a good opportunity for them to get up close and personal with the team and potentially meet some cool people.
Hey, I'm pretty gassed up to take my son to it, but I took him and my 82.
You froze there, Clarence.
Yeah, Clarence. There you go.
Am I gone?
No, you're back.
You were froze for a minute.
You were froze.
Looked like you went out in motion and lined up and tried not to go offside. So
there you go. Dan Verizon.
We back, baby.
Anyway, yeah, I took my 82-year-old father who had never seen the new stadium. He'd been to many a game in Municipal. Took me to a game in Municipal. But he had never seen the brand new Cleveland Browns stadium. So I took him and my son last year, and it was cool. But yeah, I think training camp would be something I want to take them to, so they can. So number one, my son is just a Nick Chubb fan. Like he's an all Browns fan. It doesn't matter right now at this point. We're playing cards. He sees number 4, Deshaun Watson. That's what he says every time, no matter what. If he sees the Browns number, he recognizes we're playing cards. That's his thing. But I think you're right. Training camp is kind of. I think that's probably the best route to go.
I can't wait to take my youngest to training camp. I'm probably going to take him there before I test take him to a game.
Yeah, preseason. That's where I started.
I mean, especially where I'm at towards the end of the game, people kind of like rush the corner. And we've had to get people kicked out because they're just like pressing on us, like, dude, back up. Like they're trying to get gloves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Me having a younger son, especially with him having Down syndrome, it's just like I don't want to put him in any type of situation where he can possibly get hurt or anything like that. Or I don't want anybody drunk like treating him differently or anything like that because I've seen it, and I shouldn't have to feel that way. But
and they have the family section that is up to with your background up over the Browns tunnel in the upper deck.
Yeah.
It's not like, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to parachute in? You still got to go through and be around all the fans and all that. And it's supposed to be a positive thing, but it's just, sometimes it's not,
there's sometimes it's not. It's unfortunate.
Behavior in that stadium sometimes, and it's not just Cleveland. If you go watch on Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, they've showed fan behavior at NFL games, and it's just it's off the hook, and it discourages me from wanting to go up just to any general Browns game. Hey, I have tickets. You know what I mean? Let's go to the game, and it takes a lot for me to want to go up there. But I've also been through so many good games in the past at the old stadium. The other playoff game I went to was the win against Buffalo when Don Beebe bounced off his head. Yeah, we sat basically where home plate would have been for a baseball game, maybe off to one of the sides, but I can remember seeing that play.
That was a fumble. That was a fumble. I don't care what they say. They called him down. I don't care. That was a fumble.
I agree with you. That was a fumble. I agree.
Hey, we won the game. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
But no, that was a good memory. But and I'll take you. I brought a few questions for you guys tonight.
Okay.
So the one question I have, and Clarence is already wearing it right now, is the last jersey that you bought. And I can see, Clarence, you got Myles Garrett. So is that the last one that you purchased?
Yes. And you know what? This was not even purchased. This is a hoodie. My boy in Detroit, he bought it online. I'm sure this is some knockoff bootleg type joint. In fact, I'm 100% positive it is, but he bought it online.
But that's clean though. That's probably a really good looking knockoff. Yeah. Especially that's a hoodie.
It does. It looks good.
Yeah. But he was, eating too many rally burgers up in Detroit. He's like, I can't fit this no more. So, shout out Mikey Simon. Thank you. But yeah, he gave this to me. But you know what? I stopped buying. I think the last jersey I bought straight up was I think I had a Metcalf, and this is me, as a kid. Before that, I bought a Bernie jersey, and this is when I visited the Hall of Fame, Canton. I bought a Bernie jersey, and you know what other jersey I bought? I bought an Eric Dickerson Colts jersey. I don't know why I like that dude so much, but I love Eric Dickerson.
Yeah. Oh, the Dick, man. He was great.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Eric Dickerson was the man.
Yeah, but that's it. Dean is the damn king of jerseys.
I have like 31, 32 Browns jerseys. I collect them. The last one I bought was an Eric Metcalf. it was it's a champion one. I found it on eBay, so I bought that. And probably like a week prior to me finding Metcalf, I was at the Browns game. It was right after we traded Baker, and I went to the team shop during halftime and seen the 200 and almost $300 like elite jerseys where it's like on field. You got the stretchy. It was a Baker
on the
jersey.
Sleeves, yeah.
Yeah. Got it for $21.
Yeah.
Bought that all day. I plan on taking the name off the back of it. Because I already have like 2 or 3 Baker jerseys, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. But this one, since I could take the stitching off, I was gonna put 2-1 since the number 6, so it'd be like 216.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of to make like use it with. But yeah, my most recent one was Eric Metcalf. It was a white champion jersey throwback. Right. I found that on eBay, and I found it for like, I think I bought it for like $18, $20. Wow. It was a steal. But yeah, I got like 30, 31, 32. I got Vinny Testaverde. I got so many, man. I got the Puma 99 Browns jersey from when they came back. I got so many. I got a whole tote full of them.
My first, and it was a fake jersey, was back in the day. I think it was Ames Department Store.
Ames
after Gold Circle.
I think Ames came around after Hills.
There was one of those Hanford Dixon. Actually, I take that back. No, the first jersey I ever had was a Brian Sipe jersey out of the J.C. Penney catalog.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but it also in the box too was my other favorite team. I had a Dan Fouts Chargers jersey. I absolutely love the Chargers. I thought their jerseys and helmets were really neat. Plus, they always came on at 4:00 after the Browns game. Seemed like they were always the team that you got to watch at 4:00. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, these guys throw the ball around real well. Plus, their jerseys are, the lightning bolts on the helmet and the jersey. I was like, man,
they looked cool.
Yeah.
I think I have 3 jerseys that are not Browns that I've had since I was a kid. Emmitt Smith. I have a Terrell Davis Broncos jersey. When the Browns went around, I loved Terrell Davis. And then Mike Allstott from the Buccaneers. Loved Mike Allstott. Other than that, those are only non-Browns jerseys I've ever owned, and I still have them to this day.
My first real jersey, but it wasn't stitched, was when one of my favorite players came from the Dirty Birds. Andre Bad Moon Rising. I had the brown number 80 jersey. I was like, oh my gosh, Andre Rising's playing for us.
Yeah,
that was one of the first ones.
I have a Browns Andre Rison jersey. It's from Spalding with the stitching on it. I love that thing.
But yeah, going back to that previous one at Ames, there was like a knockoff Hanford Dixon one with that real non-breathable material that was made out of. And then I would say I got a Bernie jersey now, white jersey. Probably bought that 20 years ago.
Oh, I lied. I found this probably 4 years ago out in Bedford at a thrift store. Stopped there with the old lady and found a Bernie Kosar Cowboys jersey. Got it for like $1.50.
There you go.
They're still really popular.
Yeah, I think it was when they had the 75th. They had some signing. It was Cribbs and Bernie were signing at the stadium like 2 years ago. I should have brought it up there and had Bernie sign it. I regret not doing it, but I do have that. I forgot about that one. It's still hanging up in the closet.
The only player I actually bought since we've been back in '99, and it was because, and it's going to lead into my next question, the best home game that you guys have attended. Mine was the William Run game. He ran towards our end zone to take the lead against the Falcons. So I ended up going out and getting a William Green Brown jersey.
Is that the year that we made the playoffs?
It was it
was a 10-6 year, wasn't it? We did.
We made it wild.
We missed it because Atlanta. If I remember right, we won, but then the Colts needed to lose. The Colts needed to win the 8:00 game that night. and they sat Manning because it was the last week of the season, and I think Jim Sorgi was the quarterback.
I was there, and I
And
sat
we could
at the
not,
stadium.
We didn't win.
I was at the game, and we sat there. Damn near half the stadium sat there after the game and watched that game on the Jumbotron.
And they played Atlanta, right?
And to see if we would get into playoffs. I remember that.
Because I think they played Atlanta, and I remember Atlanta being close to the goal line, and I think they had already clinched or something like that.
They did, because they announced it on the PA.
Yeah, they had clinched.
They said the Atlanta Falcons have clinched whatever, whether it was the division or a playoff spot. They were announcing it as that drive was going down the field that we stuffed them inside the 5.
Well, the one thing I remember about that drive, though, is that they had Michael Vick drop back, and I was like, if they needed him to score, they would have ran his ass right at us. But they didn't, because I don't think they wanted him to get killed. I do remember that 100%.
Man, I love Michael Vick. Michael Vick was that dude.
I don't have. The problem is that I feel like I've been to so many shit Browns games that the good ones don't even stand out anymore.
You know what? That's sad to admit.
It's true.
I've been to almost every home game every year since '99, and all I can think about is all the shit ones I've been to. Like it's like 2014 where we were playing the Bears and they scored like 2 touchdowns within a minute to beat us. I think Rex Grossman was the quarterback then. It was like
Ed Reed returning punts against us. I was at Bottlegate in the stands.
I got hit with beer bottles as a kid with Bottlegate.
Yeah, my wife and father-in-law went to that game. I had to work that day, so she ended up going up with
like that in my life.
Yeah,
there were bottles raining everywhere. I will never forget that day. Who is that player that got hit with the flag by the ref?
Oh, Orlando Brown?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I remember seeing that and him walking through the tunnel and just being amazed how tall that dude was massive. That was a big dude. He had to basically duck to get into the tunnel.
I remember on TV, all they showed on TV was the play happened, and then they pan back over and you see Orlando Brown standing over the referee on his back, pointing at his eye. And I was like, what the hell just happened?
Well, and I think at that time, people didn't understand that weren't officials, or they really didn't know the game. And I played, and I didn't even really pay attention to it. But the lead BBs that are in the bottom of it to weigh it down so it's not blowing all over the damn field when they throw a flag, not realizing what that thing was loaded with. I really think a lot of people learned that on that play.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was lead BBs. I kind of always just had the assumption it was like sand or something. You know what I'm saying? It was just tied real tight.
Right.
I had no idea there was lead BBs until that happened. I was like, whoa. And they showed the replay over and over, and he caught every bit of that flag in that eye. I was like, oh.
So I asked you guys your best game. What's the worst game? And that pile of mess of losses. What is the worst game that you went to that you remember attending? And it doesn't even have to be scoreboard related. It can be total experience.
See, I can name like 40.
Last year's Jets is up there with me. I'm not even exaggerating. Last year's Jets one is probably takes the cake for me. I was so upset with that game.
Well, and you came off the exciting win of week 1. We actually won week 1.
Yeah.
With the 50 some yarder kick. You were hoping, hey, oh my gosh, we're going to be 2-0, and then
you get Joe Flacco and the Jets. I'm like, we got this.
Wrong.
I think a lot of it was self-inflicted because, like you said, I thought this game was in the bag. I walked into the stadium thinking this was a piece of cake game. I was talking my trash. I mean, I probably had a few adult beverages in me at that time, so I was talking my stuff to local fans. They were giving it back to me, but it's like, yeah, that was up there, and probably that Bears game back in 13, 14.
What's his name? Mike. What's his name? The punt returner. It wasn't Devin Hester. It was their safety. Mike
Brown.
Mike Brown.
Was it Brown?
Yeah. Yeah, he returned. I think he returned 1 or 2 kicks against us that game. I know he at least returned.
You're thinking in Chicago?
No, it was at home.
I was thinking of Tim. I don't know why I was thinking of Tim Couchman where it got tipped and
Oh, I
returned
know
for
what
a
you.
touchdown.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, I think at this time when this happened, I want to say maybe like Charlie Fry or Derek Anderson was a quarterback for us. We had like a 2 touchdown lead or a 10-point lead, and we blew it within a matter of like 50 seconds. And they came back and beat us. I was like, what the? Yeah. How about you? What would be yours?
My worst game. I went up. It's a fun memory, and then it's kind of like not the best memory. I went up to the last game of the year when they played Tennessee Titans when Eddie George and the Titans were up about 27-0 at halftime. The field was mainly covered in snow. And it was a game where when we got to our seats before the game, I was in the opposite end zone of the dog pound, upper level, and the wind was so strong that I could lean forward in that tunnel, and there was no way I was falling down. We had blankets. I have pictures that we are all bundled up. You can barely see our face. And with my dad having those season tickets and customers not wanting them, I end up going to a lot of those final week games. Of course, when I was younger. But then we left at halftime, and I'm not a leave early guy, not a baseball game, not a football game, but it was so damn cold that the four of us left at halftime, and we were trying to get out of there and just get to the car. And we were underneath the visitors grandstand area where the concessions were. And it was just log jam of people trying to both go the same or the opposite ways, and nobody's really moving. And I remember standing there, and I was next to my fiance at the time. And these two guys in front of me, they're like, hey, man, stop pushing. And I was in one of those moods from a shit game, being cold, just want to get the hell out of there. And it's really out of character for me. But I said to those guys, I said, you guys will know when I start pushing. Because I was just done, man. I wanted to get the hell out. It was so damn cold, even with blankets, even being bundled up. And so, yeah, it was kind of a different experience because of the weather. I do enjoy element games, probably not as much as I used to. I am for a dome by far. I am for a dome or a retractable roof. Give me the RCA dome in Indianapolis. I'll take a carbon copy of that all day long.
Yeah.
I'm not a leave early guy myself. Basically based off my childhood, I don't know how many countless times I've left Jacobs Field or the Gund Arena or anything like that growing up, and then like I'm away to the car, I hear fans cheer, and I'm seeing the screen on the outside. I see your fireworks going off in the gun. Like we came back and won. I'm like, we missed it. I'm like, so I found myself like, I'm not doing that. Once I get older, like if I'm going to the game, I'm staying. There was one time, it was probably like 5-6 years ago, me and my cousin went, and it was blistering cold. It was December. Man, I had like 3-4 layers on. I had overalls, and we were still like numb. Like I couldn't feel a damn thing. And I probably left at like beginning of third quarter. We couldn't do it. We're like, I can't feel anything. Like that's probably the only time I left early since then.
I've got too many games to list that were absolute garbage. The Browns up 21-2 versus Baltimore, end up losing. That was the Ed Reed return game. Let's see. The home opener versus the Steelers, where Charlie Fry didn't even make it out of the first half before he got yanked. Let's see.
I forgot about that too.
Obviously the Jets game last year. There was a game against Tennessee. When you said Tennessee, James, I thought it might have been the same one, but it wasn't. It wasn't that cold out. But I remember walking in the stadium. This is when I was much younger, so I'd been boozing all morning. I walked in the stadium. I think the Browns were down 14-0 within the first 2 minutes. I took a nap in Brown Stadium that day. Was
that the day that they were honoring Ohio State greats at halftime and Eddie George was
honored? Possibly, but because I mean,
they booed
I don't really
the
remember
shit out of Eddie George when they announced him at halftime. Even though he was being honored as a Buckeye, They let him have it. There was no cheers at all. That was great.
Most of the games, there's just too many to name. And like I said, the wins are so far and few in between. Yeah, the wins are so far and few in between.
I will say one of my favorite memories I forgot to mention was in 2013. We had moved back from Knoxville, Tennessee. We were down there for a year, home of Jimmy Haslam and his Pilot gas stations. Trust me, I made sure I went to Pilot when I was down there. I'm like, yeah, we got to fill up here. We got to help. That'll help, sign some free agents. Well, that didn't do a damn thing. So we moved back, and my aunt, she's a Browns backer through Medina Browns backers, and she gave the opportunity to my other aunt and myself to be flag bearers for the home opener against the Dolphins.
That's cool.
And you want to talk about a fun experience, getting to the stadium at 9:30 in the morning, checking in through security. Oh, actually, I got a great story. You guys are going to love this. So we go in and we get, with the group, everybody's checked in. We're in one of the auxiliary locker rooms underneath where the Browns locker room is, opposite end zone of the dog pound. So we're all sitting in there and we're waiting for them to take us on the field. So we're going to go out there, do a practice run. We go out there, everybody, grabs a flag, takes it out. This is how we're going to do it. And it wasn't the full field flag. It was more like one that was about the width of the end zone. Maybe we were down at the one end zone. So we did the walkthrough, took the flag out, and then they let us go back on the field, just be on the sidelines to watch the players warm up and throw around. So we did that and had a good time. Went back in the locker room. Game is starting. And we heard that the presidents of the United States of America, the band, was going to be playing like before the game. So we didn't hear it because we were on the inside, but we heard they were playing out there. So they were out there playing. We went out, did the flag thing, did the national anthem, tucked it all up, came back in the locker room, and then we were waiting to get released. When we came back in the locker room, there were totes of beer on ice. And I'm talking bottled beer, glass bottles. And everybody's sitting in there, and they didn't have any of the people that were supposed to be with us in there. They were outside in the hallway. And like I said, we're waiting to get released. We're going to go to our seats. Everybody looks at each other and we're like, people start getting up and start grabbing beers and just throwing them all in their like clear purses and whatever bags they could, or in their jackets or whatever. And then we all left, and it turns out that was supposed to be the band's beer, because as we left, some people had it in their hands, and some of the people that were in charge of us saw it and were like, well, shit, we can't do anything about it now. So yeah, the story of the band losing their beer. So I'm sure they obviously restocked it for them, but
that's great.
It was kind of a neat story, but it was actually an awesome opportunity to be on the field when they announced the players and the heat coming up and all the excitement, the players coming out of the tunnel. That was a special experience that, I'll never forget. And if anybody ever gets that opportunity, man, please do it.
That's amazing. I would actually, like last season when I was there, when Donovan Mitchell was first traded to the Cavs and he showed up at the game and they got to hold my belt up. Darius Garland's security guard came up to me and was like, hey, do you mind if they hold your belt? And I'd like look over and I see them like, of course. And I hand it over and they're sitting there holding it up. And I'm like, can you sign it? Can you sign it? And they're like, absolutely. They signed it for me. And I look over and I see like probably like 10 feet away from me, I see Johnny Gargano and a couple of WWE wrestlers sitting there like right there, and they asked to see it and they hold it up and they sign it. I'm like, that was another like one of probably my favorite games.
That's neat.
That was amazing. I was there with my mother too, and I will never forget that the rest of my life too.
No, that's awesome.
So many good times.
Yeah, and I hope we have a lot more with the roster that we have.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Let's get into your predictions. We were gonna try and do the schedule game, but we're running long. So
That's good though.
Honestly, I don't like the schedule game. I used to play that game, look at it, and go, "Yeah, that's a win. That's a win." We
Yeah.
all know between injuries in the NFL,
Yeah.
whether
Plus
it's
the
the other
Browns being
team
the
or whether
Browns.
it's ours or the Browns
Mhm.
being the Browns, that it's tough to do. So my buddy and I, we used to do on Yahoo Sports. We would go through and just him and I would do the pick 'em.
I
We
like
would do
those.
we would do one league where you do the pick 'em for the entire season before the season, but then do another league where you do it week to week
Okay.
because you know it's going to change.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you go back and you look at the one that you did at the beginning of the year. It's like that's a loss.
Yeah.
That's a loss. That ain't going
Barely
to
two.
happen. Yeah, because somebody goes down for the season. That's whether it's an important quarterback or whatever. So yeah, I'm
Changes
not a big.
everything.
I used to do that and look at the schedule more. Now it's more about how many wins do we need to win the division? How many wins do we need to make the playoffs? And with that 12 wins last year by the Bengals to win the division, I expect Pittsburgh to be better. I expect us to be better. Baltimore had, a little bit of struggles last year at certain points, right? When Lamar was out. So I don't expect Cincinnati to get 12 wins. I think 11 wins, like Clarence's prediction, can win this division, if not 10. I mean, you look, I said 3-3 wasn't every team in our division was 3-3 against each other.
Yeah.
Why would there's potential for that to be the very same because of how good the division is.
This division, and like you said when we first got on here, it's the AFC North is probably the most competitive division in the league. Easy. I don't see Cincinnati being as good as they were last year. I still see them being in that picture and still being super competitive, but I don't see them winning 12 games or anything like that. I can see us. I have a feeling that we're going to sweep. We're going to win both games with Pittsburgh, but I think we'll split with Baltimore and Cincinnati.
I think one of our biggest problems as Browns fans, we keep comparing, hey, how did we improve from last year? When you just look at a talent perspective or the roster, that's not what it's going to get it done on game day.
No.
I look at that roster. I looked before we started recording tonight. I'm like, how many of these guys have playoff victories? How many of these guys, anybody have a Super Bowl ring? Besides, Jim Schwartz on the coaching staff.
Rodney McLeod, which was with Schwartz in Philly.
Yeah.
I think that's really about it.
Because we need that. We need veteran leadership.
We do.
I know we have Anthony Walker back this year. I'm hoping he can stay healthy. I know he's somebody that's well respected on the team. But do we have our linebackers that are going to be able to be physical enough to win the AFC North? That's always been our challenge. We've been able to draft some talent over the years. But if you go back to the beginning in the 2000s, how many times we thought we were drafting talent? If you looked at those guys when they left the Browns roster, what the hell did they do on anybody else's roster?
Nothing.
Like I brought up William Green, who played really well for us for a short period of time, but what did he do elsewhere? What did Tim Couch do elsewhere?
But I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, it seems like every year the Browns front office, whoever it may be, starting, way back. I think Butch was probably one of the few guys who drafted I don't want to say name brand talent, but guys that you knew were good. But it seems like our front office thinks that they're the smartest people in the room, and they try and draft these guys. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh has taken the guy that you've heard of, that and you know the guy can play, and that guy's going to Pittsburgh and playing well. Or not just Pittsburgh, Baltimore has done it as well. Same with Cincy. So it seems like our division opponents are picking the guys that were like, you know what, I've heard of this guy, I know him, I think he's going to be good. Meanwhile, we're out here trying to find the next diamond in the rough. Yep. And I mean, it seems like it's been that way for a long time. And like you said, on paper, we look great again. And I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I have turned the corner on Deshaun Watson. I think he is going to be what we expect him to be. But
I mean, OTA is what we're seeing on this. He's looking good.
Yeah, but
Oh,
we
But
talked
it's
about
7
it.
on
I mean, it's
7s. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
wearing
I'm
shorts and he
trying to
can't
not
get
take
hit.
it for what it is.
Yeah,
It's
wearing
I
shorts
know.
where
It's
he can't get
hard.
hit.
Like when I saw those guys working out on the beach, was it Puerto Rico they all went to for some team building and some team bonding? We don't play any games on sand.
No.
Nope.
And
So like
where was the O line? Why weren't they there with y'all? Get the big guys in there.
right. Well, because you don't have to block. They didn't need them because you're not blocking air down there.
That's right.
That's the
That's what
thing.
I'm
It's
saying.
like I totally get the excitement of as we get closer to, training camp and preseason, because I used to buy into that all the time. I'd get a new hat and a new shirt, and you're all ready to go, thinking I'm looking fresh for the first game now. We're going to do better. We're going to win the first week, which we actually did last year.
Yeah,
Thank
finally.
God. But yeah, we need to do it again, especially against Cincinnati, our division champ. But we got to play physical. That's the thing that misses. Talent does not mean physical. And
No.
when you have Baltimore and Pittsburgh in your division and you can't play physical, your talent will not matter, especially when you don't have that leadership that we need on both sides of the ball. Not even just both sides of the ball. We need it on the D line. We need it on a linebacker, like we talked about Anthony Walker. We need somebody in the secondary, because how many times last year did you see the secondary and the linebackers looking at each other as we gave up another bomb touchdown pass because they weren't on the same page?
Every game
Agreed.
almost.
Agreed.
So Schwartzy's going to fix that, and we
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was
go
saying, like,
ahead.
the first 4 games of the season, we're playing 3 of our division rivals. We got Cincinnati, then Pittsburgh, then we got Tennessee, then Baltimore. Like those are crucial games to win. Start the season off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I agree. I know I have a feeling Schwartzy he's given off kind of like Greg Williams vibes. Like I seen a video where he's saying like, my hands up, you guys shut the F up. Like we needed somebody like that. Joe Woods wasn't going to be that type of guy. And I think the addition of Zadarius Smith, the more and more I see of him and his energy, I am like, I think he's going to be the leader of this defense. The dude's energy it kind of gives off kind of like how Jarvis came in Hard Knocks and he said that little speech. Like I can kind of see him being that type of person for the defense, which we've been lacking. And I'm not trying to hate on Myles Garrett, but he's too soft spoken. He's not the leader that we need on that defensive side. Yeah, he's an amazing player, but he's just not that guy. He's
right.
And I think the addition to him I'm hoping I'm right, is the leader that we need on that defensive side to get the players riled up.
James, give us 1 or 2 bold predictions.
Just was thinking about that. And, I've heard in the offseason so far about how they like the wide receiver room. My bold prediction out of that wide receiver room is that Donovan Peoples-Jones will score 10 touchdowns. He's going to hit double digits, but I still think probably the most important, I need to see that. I need to see down the field. I want to see some big plays this year from the passing game, but what I want to see is consistency, because your tight end, because I used to play tight end, is the quarterback's best friend. And I want to see Njoku and Watson really connect this year. I think that's going to be the major difference that could really open up for the wide receivers. But I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is the one that, and I know we had Tillman as a draft pick, and we brought in some other guys. But I think Jones, this is his year to really break out, hit some double digits on those touchdowns, and I want to see some big ones.
I love that prediction.
But I also, out of that wide receiver room, I want to see somebody step up and be that Julian Edelman. I want to know who Watson is going to go to on a third down when I'm sitting there watching the game, getting ready to feed my face or drink a little beer, that he's going to go to this guy and we're going to pick up that first down.
I have a feeling that
we haven't had that. Who?
Marquise Goodwin. I have a feeling
I hope so.
Be him.
I know who it's not going to be. Anthony Schwartz.
Shut up.
Anthony Schwartz catches the ball like Miles Straw hits and like Isaac Okoro shoots.
Oh, let's go.
Schwartz,
How you
I
feel
still
about that,
got your back.
Clarence?
Schwartz, I still got your back, man. We track stars, we gotta stick together. Or you're a track star, and I just used to run fast a little bit. But anyway, I got your back,
I
Schwartz.
ran the 4 by
I got
100 once.
Make sure you got his back when he's getting ready to get on the plane after he turns in his playbook. But there's gonna be a lot of guys turn in playbooks that are pretty good.
Yeah. The Browns have some talent. And I feel like at this point, Barry's spent a lot of capital on the wideout position over the last few years. So, and we know that he's not one to let his guys go that he's drafted. But I mean, I think we've reached that point now where somebody's got to go. They're not going to keep 10 wideouts. So, Schwartz, I hope you don't get cut. I'll keep saying it. You know, that reverse, you went 15, 20 yards downfield before you fumbled. So, I mean, that shows something. But, but it's like you said, a lot of solid football players probably won't make this team. So
I'm assuming I'm just gonna assume there's no chance for getting DeAndre Hopkins, which I'm okay with.
I'm fine with it.
Do I want him? Sure. If the price is right, absolutely. But I think we'll be fine without him too. So my only concern is I know we're gonna pass the ball a lot more this year, but I just want to make sure that Chubb at least has 20 carries a game. At least.
Well, he'll have to be in there more than with Hunt not being there and them rotating out more often.
Yeah.
Is Jerome Ford? It's going to be able to get in there.
Yeah. Number 2, which I'm great. I think he complements Chubb greatly.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's on the guy behind me. It's on the guy behind me. All off season, it was AB behind me. AB did.
Where'd AB go?
AB did his job. He did his job. He's off the hot seat for me.
See, I was going to buy AB a ticket at the Rubber Ducks game so he could sit behind you when we're there, in case he showed up.
AB's gone because you know what? He did his job. Now
he did.
Now it's on Stefanski. I don't want to see that BS we saw last year. I'm not gonna lie. I am a little bothered that they're implementing it looks like a brand new offense. How long is it going to take for everybody to catch up? Because one of the things that bothered me last year is that by the time we got Watson in, he had 6 games. He didn't look that great, in any of them. Let's just be frank. We had glimpses and flashes here and there, but like consistent play, we didn't see it from him in any of those 6 games, and the season was over.
Well, if we're implementing a new offense, everybody's basically starting off at the same time at this point.
So but how long is it going to take? How long is it? And like that's the scary part is like because basically we're taking last year's 6 games, wiping them out, and then we're going to take this year's first 6 games to probably implement this offense. So how long is it going to take for it to get right? Hopefully it's fast.
They'll be ready.
Yeah. To me, the entire season falls upon quarterback play and the defensive line. Because the defensive line will set the tone, how successful our linebackers can be, and our secondary. Because we didn't have that last year.
No, we did not.
Whether it was stopping the run or pass rush outside of, Miles.
Stopping the run was.
I think Chubb's going to be Chubb. Amari's going to be Amari. And Donovan Peoples-Jones is the one that has to separate himself from
I really
the
hope
others.
You're right. I would love that for DPJ.
And I sure hope Njoku can stay healthy.
I'd imagine if I was in DPJ's shoes and seeing the people that they brought in with Elijah Moore and Marquise Goodwin, I'd have a chip on my shoulder a little bit. It's
drafted Tillman too.
It's a prove it year. Yeah. It's a prove it year. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
And he kind of made that step forward that I needed to see from him last year. Now it's time to him to make that giant leap. Like I'm him.
Absolutely.
He's got to prove it. And I hope you're right. If he can score 10 touchdowns or even close to that, I'm going to be happy. And DPJ is very talented, and I think he's very slept on.
I'd like to see Martin Emerson become Richard Sherman like.
Yes.
Okay.
He's got that. It seems like he's so close now that he's not a rookie that he might take a little more risk on that. I mean, he did last year and did really well.
He did.
I was really happy that we had a cornerback with size like that.
He was very impressive.
Yes, so I hope he takes that step in the secondary, and can really have a. I don't even get excited about the damn Pro Bowl anymore, but I hope he has a Pro Bowl season.
Yeah,
any of the Pro Bowl skills stuff. I don't.
Yeah,
especially
at this point, just get away with it. I don't know.
There's so many guys that just they're in the Super Bowl or they played long in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't want to go. And then
what's his name?
Pro Bowl alternate.
Didn't Huntley make it last year?
I think, yeah.
He was awful.
Watson should be able. If Huntley made it last year, Watson should be able to make it throwing left-handed.
Right.
Agreed.
So
Jacoby Brissett should have been there instead of Huntley.
He had a hell of a season.
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Well,
this was a hell of a
episode.
Yeah.
Good, man. I really appreciate
you coming
you guys. Oh, hey, it's been a blast getting to talk a little bit of old school Browns football, bringing it into the new school, the current team. I want to remain optimistic, just like I am with our Guardians, that hopefully this is the year that all of us fans that have been loyal for so long, especially the ones that's been attending games, the season ticket holders, you guys deserve it the most. My ass sits on the couch most of the time. But you guys are out there paying the extra parking, buying the expensive drinks, and spending the extra time, a couple hours trying to get the hell out of the parking lot. All you Browns fans, you guys deserve a great season this year. And I'm really looking forward to, hopefully ending our division drought and finally winning the AFC North.
I can't wait.
First time since 1989, back when the AFC was just the Central Division.
The AFC Central.
We're due, man. We are way overdue.
AFC, we're not. I feel like we're not that far away from being that old AFC Central. Pittsburgh's a quarterback away, I think, from it being the old Bernie.
You don't think Baby Hands is him?
But small hands. I saw a stat the other day. Baker Mayfield had more touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett punk ass. But I digress.
I've seen that practice at Tampa Bay with both of them throwing balls, and they were all just overthrowing and throwing them to the ground. Like, ugh.
Didn't we lose to a quarterback they had named Duck?
Yeah, Duck.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the referees. Let's be honest. The referees saved us from losing to Baker Mayfield last year. That would have been really, 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 really.
Yeah, that second half, you could tell conditioning. It seems like it was a factor being at week one where nobody had played a full game for a while, but we'll take it. We will take it.
I'll take that.
We've sure given enough games away that we'll take the ones that we can.
Absolutely. We'd have never heard the end of it if we'd have lost to Baker ever.
Right.
Especially after them dumbass T-shirts he made prior to that game.
Off the leash, son.
I still can't believe he did that, but
hey,
it is what it is.
At least he woke up feeling employed today.
Right.
He got a job. At least he's working.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of other Browns quarterbacks that we've seen.
Yeah, it didn't do nothing.
Working.
Well, everybody listening, James and Mel from Guardians of the CLE have the absolute honor of throwing out the first pitch at the Akron Rubber Ducks game. What day is that?
That's Wednesday, July 19th. 6:35 start. So yeah, it's a privilege for us to be able to represent Believe Land Media and all of our counterparts with the media group that night and sharing that fun tradition. I promise you we're not throwing ourselves down the mound, making ourselves look ridiculous. We ain't there for that. We ain't there for that clickbait. We're there for the love and the respect of the game. So we want to thank Marco Lanave for that opportunity from the Akron Rubber Ducks.
If you guys aren't already, like we said at the beginning of the show, Guardians of the CLE is probably the best Guardians podcast out there. If you guys haven't given them a listen, please do. Go give them a follow. You see James's Twitter handle right there, below him right there. Give him a follow. It's an absolute honor to have you on. It's a blast. We'd love to have you come back on whenever you want. You're more
We'll get
than
you
welcome.
back
Appreciate
on.
it, guys.
We'll get you back on when the season starts. I would say I would come on y'all podcast, but I don't follow baseball as that well. I know Tribe players, and that's really about it. It lost me a while ago, but I still follow our guards. But we'd like to get you guys on, especially if your season. Hopefully that everything goes well, like you said. The first
We'll
2
turn
months are
around.
rough. But,
Guardians will turn around.
yeah,
They're showing glimpses. They're ready to make that turn.
Exactly.
Browns fans, if you're Guards fans, I say hang in there. Our best baseball's ahead of us yet. We're right there to win the division. All we need is a ticket to the playoffs. And as long as we're playing with great momentum going into October, we have a chance to win the World Series and break that 75-year drought of raising that trophy.
Whether it's the Guardians or the Browns, I can't wait.
There you go.
Both teams are due for one, man. Can't wait. But once again, James, thanks for coming on, man. It's an honor.
Yep,
James, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work here. You guys, I know it's tough sometimes in the off season and with our Browns, but I know you guys keep cutting it out week in and week out. So everybody that's listening, keep listening and tell a friend because we know there's a lot of Browns fans out there that can use a pick me up during this off season. So check these guys out. And we appreciate the love from the Guardian side too. So you guys keep up the good work.
Appreciate that, man. Clarence, absolutely. You want to let the people know?
So, in the words of the immortal, brand new North Carolina Tar Heel tight end coach and run game coordinator, Freddie J. Kitchens. Even though his middle initial is not J, but he's gonna be Freddie J. Kitchens to me for forever. Charles Frederick Kitchens.
Charles
Frederick. In the words of Freddie Kitchens, if you don't wear brown and orange,
you don't matter.
Doesn't matter.
See you guys next week, man.